Hello, everyone. I am going to be making a short video for the more complicated readings of the class. When we're doing a straightforward reading, I might just do a paragraph or a text. When we are doing highly theoretical readings, I like creating a short video for you guys so you can listen to it, you can watch it or listen to it before you do the reading. And then after the reading, then you go to the writing assignment to read the instructions of what I would like you to do for that specific reading. These will usually be short, about 5 minutes, 6 minutes at the most. But I think it's important to give you a little bit of background. And I like doing it as a video in case you want to watch it more than one time, or when I explain it in class, if you're a little distracted or a little tired by 2-hour discussion. And that way you have it here whenever you need it. What we are working on this coming week is David Harvey, who is mostly a cultural geographer, although he has been very involved in urban politics. And it is a highly sophisticated essay, and it is quite excellent, but it is not easy to read. And so there might be parts where you have to reread. There will be things that you will not be able to get completely, but part of what we're going to do in class is to unpack the reading and make sure that you get the most important parts. This essay is really about looking at the city as a human space, and it is less about the objects of the city, and it is more about the subjects of the city. So we're going to be moving beyond what we've been doing in class and focus much more on sort of the social processes that happen in the city rather than recognizing the organic element or the organic nature of the city. There are two really big things that I would like you to focus on as you are reading through. There's a section about space and time. Don't worry about it. It's a highly philosophical moment, and it's not a philosophy class. You don't need to worry about that. Number one, I really want you to focus on the section where he is talking about focusing on processes in the city rather than the things in the city. To quote a little line from what you're going to read, process takes precedence over things. Process takes precedence over things. And there's another moment that he says we should think of things in a city as products of processes. And so what he's asking us to do is let's stop talking about buildings and infrastructure and mass transit. We really need to think about urbanization and what it means and what it implies and how it affects certain communities in different ways from other communities. And so what he wants us to stop thinking about the object that is the city, and he wants us to focus on what is the process that achieved that object in the city. So part of what he's asking us to do here is let's think about urbanization. Let's think about modernization. Let's think about migration. Let's think about industrialization. I live in the city of Chicago, and a very important process is the process of beautification, of making the city as beautiful as possible to bring the largest amount of tourists to it. The other thing that I would like to do work on and to think about a little more is the idea of community. We used this word on the first day of classes. There was somebody that talked about the idea of community. We tend to think of the word community always as a positive word. The idea of community is always a good thing. And what he's asking us to do in the reading is like we need to rethink that, because there are there are communities that can be harmful. And so the whole idea of segregation in cities, the idea of gated communities in American cities, all of those things are in a way creating spaces that are privileged by some and other parts of all other communities are eliminated from. So I think about a little bit more about how he's arguing the way we need to shift the way we think about the word community and about the concept community, because I think it's really important to think of that word as not only positive, but as a word that can be used in other ways. And so those are the two things that I would like you to be thinking in this reading: things versus processes, and taking precedence over processes rather than things on the one hand, and the other and the other element is the idea of community, how he thinks of the idea of community, how he's asking us to rethink the notion of community itself. I think it's a marvelous reading, but it is not an easy reading. As I mentioned on the first day of classes, I like starting with the hardest readings. So if you survive this one, you'll survive all the other ones. You should be okay. But do not feel like you are not competent enough because you're not getting it all, because it is quite a difficult reading. I am throwing you at the deep end of the pool with this reading. So you do as much as you can, and then when you're done with your reading, then go to the assignment, and there are instructions there of what I would like you to write about in the paragraph that is responding to this essay. So think about this video, go through the reading and sort of think about it thoroughly, and then go to the reading response, read my instructions there, and then write your paragraph. Once again, 100, 150, 170 words. Remember, you do not need to cover every element of the reading, and you might not understand every element of the reading. I do not understand every element of the reading, so don't feel like you need to understand everything. You need to look up words. That's what language learning is about. And so do as much as you can, work as hard as you can, and don't worry, because when we go to class, we will start unpacking and you can ask all the questions that you want about this material. It's a fascinating reading. It's just really, really tough. All right, guys, see you in class.